You okay? Yeah?
That, I don't know.
Well,
I never know anymore.
and for those of you that can't see this or won't see this, Mike had a very hard time just sitting down,
Thank you.
which sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
I fixed all of that while you were in the toilet.
That's one of two elements we need to create the perfect podcast.
I fixed it.
Thank
I fix it.
You look very pretty.
Thank you. I figured I'd put on some makeup for once for this.
Why not?
Right?
You trying to look good just in case I have any more good-looking doctors?
Well, all the good-looking doctors last week saw me looking like a hot fucking mess.
So if
And then totally got caught out calling one of them
Mr. Good Stuff,
hot.
Dr. Good Stuff,
Oh, yeah.
reporting for Dookie.
It was crazy. And then he totally heard me call him hot. And then your mom cracked up at me.
Yeah. Well, you got.
I totally got.
That's what happens.
We've had a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yeah.
Not over yet.
It's done. We're like on like the final stretches.
I'm going to tell a story this week,
Okay.
and the story's not for the squeamish, but I think it's going to help me power through this week. After this week, fingers crossed, I will be 100% normal person again.
A game.
But there's one very specific thing that's standing in between me and being a perfectly normal person.
Well, why don't we tell our people what Patreon is?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Patreon.com, a virtual tipping and rewards website. We have to have a production meeting because I'm thinking about making some very exciting changes to it.
Okay.
And it's one change that people have asked for a long time. Little change to the tier system.
Okay.
But for now, if you don't know what Patreon is, you can go on patreon.com/MikeFalzone and you could donate money to the show.
Okay.
That will almost certainly go towards medical bills at this point in our life, in my existence. So there's different tiers. You could donate $1 per show. You could donate $10 per show. And then we say your name on the podcast like we're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the time being, you could donate $50 and we help you advertise something for low price to a couple thousand people who may be potential customers of yours, maybe potential friends, maybe a bunch of potential people that will tell other potential people about what you have going on. And that's our patreon.com. Right now, and it helps us out so much, and we like to show appreciation for the people who do give us a lily something, and that sounds a lily something like this.
Matthew J. Palka, Tom McGlone.
Matthew J. Palka was at VidCon. I saw him.
I did not see him. I feel like I see him every year except for this year. Anyway, Katie Lee G, Wandering G Bear, Monique Quistorf, Zach Doncare Mangs, Danielle D. Verona, Goose Maynard.
Goose Maynard sounds like like a baseball pitcher in the 20s.
Helen Ford, Nestor De Leon III, Katie A. and Superflaus.
Superfluous.
Super.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
Thank you so much.
For donating to the show. Any $50 sponsors?
No, not this week.
We're getting to the end of the month, and then we start over. Is this last show of the month?
Yeah, it is.
Great. Well, thank you for sticking with us through what I would call a tumultuous June.
Yeah.
In like a lion, out like rocks formed in my kidneys, shot out of my dick.
All right. So what is the final step of you being on the up and up?
So, as you may know, if you're following the saga of my inside saga, had a kidney stone that was not able to pass. Human being cannot pass a 8mm kidney stone. So what they went ahead and did was, to alleviate the pressure on my kidney, they put in a stent. They actually put in 2 stents. First time, they gave me an operation in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and stent kind of holds open your
Uterus,
uterer, which is the tube that carries your pee from your pee factory to your peesh, right?
Basically,
bladder. Yeah. Also a very important step in the process.
So from your kidney to your bladder is where the uterus is.
Then comes out your wiener hole.
Yeah. And then
wiener hole, that's a new term that I learned while I was in the hospital.
It's all part of your urinary tract.
Yeah. The doctor came in several times to check up on my
urinary tract.
pee hole.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, and then I had a second operation to actually go in and get the stone. Why they didn't do that the first time, that's not for me to decide.
I think
Did they tell you why?
What ended up happening?
Most Midwest voice you could have.
It happens every once in a while.
It does happen every once in a while.
Sometimes. So what ended up happening was that the first time they went in to put the stent in, they pushed. So the stone was outside of the bladder, but when they put the stent in, it pushed the stone all the way back down into the kidney.
So that's like the equivalent of like when your mom tells you to clean your room and you just put all your shit under your bed. That's what the doctor did to my insides.
Oh my God, I used to just put everything in my closet. My mom used to want to kill me. Anyway,
was the first thing she did come in and open the closet?
She used to kick my ass for not cleaning properly.
Yeah.
So that ended up causing some issues a few days later, which called for the second procedure.
Yeah.
And Dr. Steve was...
Second procedure, which we codenamed Laser Dick.
Pion Pion.
Pion Pion Laser Dick.
Pion Pion Pion.
Operation Pion Pion. So the second time, a good friend, Dr. Steven Siegel.
He's great.
In an emergency situation, had to go up-ins me. I was asleep at this time. Okay. Checked with everybody in the hospital to make sure I'd be asleep at this time. Went up-ins with a scope. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Found the legend of the hidden kidney stone.
Yeah.
Shot it with a laser.
Yeah.
And incinerated it.
Yeah. So
in your boy.
So you had to take out the previous stent and then put another one in.
I got a brand new stent.
Tell me something good.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to cancel flights. Alaska Airlines charged me so much money to reschedule them. On top of having to cancel our return date for our car, which they wanted to charge me an extra $300 and something. It was like a huge fucking mess. It was such a mess. And then
they're going to hear from our team of people
flying home,
our legal team, which is just us with our cell phones out on speakerphone.
So
on the phone at the same
we
time.
should have fucking called them while on the podcast and see what hey, just so you know, you're on welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say call them from the operating table.
Oh my God.
Like while they were doing the we should have podcasted and called Alaska Airlines while they were putting me to sleep for the second procedure. And I have to get in my grievance before I nod off.
So it was just like a huge mess. I had to cancel clients. It was just like I went right to work on Thursday after coming home, trying to make sure that Mike was all set up before I left. Mm-hmm. And then and I worked all day Thursday, and then Friday I moved my car for you to go to VidCon.
Yeah.
And I come back into the house after you left to get ready for work, and I go back into my car, turn it on, put the bitch in drive, hit the gas, and this bitch goes into reverse.
Oh, no.
So at this point, I'm just like so panicked. So I put the car in park. And then I try to put it back into drive, and now the shifter won't move at all out of park. But the car is still in reverse, and it's just stuck in reverse. So I call the dealership, and I'm like, I need a quick fix now. But there's got to be something that you guys can tell me to do to get the shifter out and whatever.
Where's the forward button?
Yeah.
Like in a Power Wheels.
Yeah. So they were like, I'm so sorry. There's nothing you can do. What you can do requires 2 people. Is there an extra person there? And I said, if there was an extra person here, I would have just left the fucking car.
I would be in their car right now.
Yeah.
If there was an extra person.
Right. So,
everything we have is broken.
So, no, not everything.
Everything.
You're not broken. You're fine.
I'm on the mend.
Yeah.
But I felt so bad because I was already gone by this point.
Yeah, like he was like just getting to like Anaheim as I was calling him in a panic.
Yeah.
And then finally I like hung up on everyone, right? And I just like I'm like, okay, you can deal with this later. You got to get your ass to work because now I was going in early on Friday to accommodate a couple people that I had canceled on, and it was just like it was crazy. And then so I get in an Uber and I get into work right like just barely on time, and my client's like walking in as I'm like putting all of my stuff away, and the girls were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm just frazzled. Like I just could not get it together at all." And I come home that night and I get into like a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt, and I'm trying to find the shifter release button. I find the button, I release the shifter. It's still nothing. It's like in between. It's like just floating around, the shifter. And I'm so annoyed at this point. So I end up calling, roadside assistance and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, the car needs to be out in the alley.
Oh, because they can't come into the...
Because they can't get into the garage. What's the clearance of the garage? And the woman's like, well, look outside. And I was like, woman, there's no fucking clearance posted anywhere. Just please send them. I will make sure that the car is in the alleyway.
Also, it's a Fiat, so if you needed to, you could just pull the backpack straps out
right?
and walk it out.
Well, it wasn't that easy because I tried to push it out by myself.
LL Bean makes Fiats.
So I finally get her to send someone, and now I'm trying to push it. Now, there's always someone in the garage every single time I'm in there. There's never been one time either somebody's coming or going or whatever. Never. There was no one to be found. No one. So I'm like, okay, so without the car on, you have no power steering. Without power steering, it's like fucking crazy to turn
that's
the
crazy,
wheel.
Huh?
Yeah.
How much
so I'm like
than
hanging on it, like hanging, and like I'm just trying to, and I got it right to the outside of the door, but there's like this little lip that you got to get over, and my little legs could not get it over.
Were you keeping the garage door open this whole time?
Yeah.
You had to keep pressing the button so you wouldn't get closed on?
Yep.
Damn,
it was like the craziest thing. So all of a sudden I hear the tow truck pulling up, and it's like the last time like I pushed the car all the way back into the spot, and I was just going to try and get like a running head start with it, and I couldn't do it.
Oh man.
I couldn't do it. It was hilarious. And the guy was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, man, I know it's not your job to help me pull the car out." And he's like, what seems to be the problem? Whatever. And I was like, the shifter's gone, whatever. And he was like, okay, let's check the battery. I was like, sir, I promise it's not the battery. The battery, there's power. I'm like, it's just not turning over. And he's like, we'll check the battery. I was like, okay, fine. We'll do it your way.
It's the only thing he knows how to do, so he has to do it.
We can do it your way. That's fine. I don't care.
Let me look at the windows.
Yeah, exactly. So he checks the battery. No, not the battery. Okay, we do it your way. And I was like, okay, great. So Jose and I ended up pushing the car out, and he was so nice, and he totally hooked it up, and I took a ride with him. We took a picture together because my sisters were like, are you dead? What is happening? You know?
So you had to let him know you were with Jose.
Yeah. So, and then prior to this, I had called my friend Alex, and she didn't answer. And then I texted my friend TJ, and he didn't answer. And it wasn't until I was already on my way to the dealership with Jose that I was like, oh, I was going to like coax you with dinner and a good hang if you came and helped me push my car out.
This is Jose? Now you're propositioning Jose
no,
to hang out
I
all
was
night?
talking to TJ.
When the cat's away.
Yeah. And he was like, what do you need? You need food. You need this. And I was like, honestly, nothing. I was like, if you want to come pick me up and drive me home from the dealership, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And he was like, dinner. Fine. Great. So he was like, I'm actually with Alex. I'm going to pick up Alex now. And I was like, oh, awesome. So
we were ignoring your calls together.
Yeah, right.
Until we figured out it was an emergency.
We hated you until this moment.
We hated you until we got too sad.
Right. For you. And then and he's so sweet. He was just like, I'll do anything you need. I've got you. Don't worry about it. So they get to the dealership after I'm like waiting there for a couple of minutes, and they pull up. He gets out of the car. He opens up my door, the back door, and I just start crying. I couldn't even help myself.
Yeah.
I had just like ugly, like cry. It was awful. It
Boogers
was so
or no?
awful. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I don't cry in front of you all. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You know what? You can't have the good without the bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so true, and and I'm just thankful and grateful that you're okay, that everything else is okay. And come to think of it, the fucking dealership hasn't called me yet.
Well, Monday morning.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll get to it.
So yeah, and now we have doctor's appointments,
so bad that you
and
had to...
you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I just pray to God that this is a quick, easy fix and not crazy expensive, because the amount of money that I have spent in the last couple of weeks is just ridiculous.
We should go over the Patreon again.
No,
just to make sure.
No. I'm not saying that because of that.
No, the responsibility doesn't fall on the listeners of this podcast.
Right. But yeah, so all is well.
I know that there's nothing, you don't get to choose when this stuff happens, but I felt terrible for being so far away while all this was going on.
It was very sweet, though. He was like, I'm going to come home now. I was like, what the hell are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. I still had to take an Uber to and from. I could
do all kinds of stuff.
I still had to take an Uber to and from work.
Yeah.
I took a Lyft because I don't really support Uber, but.
Any good rideshare stories? Did you have?
No, I didn't do the rideshare, which I probably should have.
No, I mean like any good Lyft driver stories?
The lady on Saturday morning who picked me up extra early because, again, I had to be at work to accommodate clients. She was awesome. I mean, she had the coolest blue hair, and she had a couple of kids, and we were talking about her kids.
Were they in the Lyft?
No. She had like a 16, a 19, and a 13-year-old. Mm-hmm. And, she was telling me about her divorce. She was making dinner one day, and after she had just lost her mom, and her husband told her that he wanted a divorce, and she said, "Okay, great, file." And she just kept cooking, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome."
Did she let him eat?
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh no, there's no way in hell.
She was like, we'd been married. She was like, I was brought up to be a good wife, a good mother, and work hard. She was like, and he told me he wanted a divorce, and I said, fine.
Dude, whatever. That part is great.
Yeah.
Because you both get out of the situation as smoothly as possible, and you're not connected to each other forever. And hopefully there's not like money and legal battles down the line.
Yeah.
But if I'm cooking for someone in the middle of cooking and the whole house smells like garlic, and then they say, also, I want a divorce, I'd be like, well, front door's unlocked.
Get the fuck out.
I'm going to eat. Even if I'm not hungry, I'm going to eat I'm going to force this down.
Yeah.
And you'll never have any of it.
Yeah.
And it's filled with garlic, and you love garlic.
Yeah.
And you always smell like garlic, and I should have asked you for the divorce.
Are you trying to say that I smell like garlic all the time?
No. No, you don't smell like garlic all the time. The worst your breath has smelled recently was, aside from just morning things, which are unavoidable, was when you were eating a bunless salmon sandwich at VidCon. A hotel salmon sandwich.
It was pretty fucking good, though. It was
It looked good.
A blackened salmon.
I gotta tell you,
tasty.
It didn't smell all right though.
Yeah, well, it repeated on me all night long.
I smelled your stomach's version of it.
I felt really bad for anyone that I was talking to.
Yeah, you were having a lot of conversations from across the table though.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's true.
I feel like it would have dissipated.
But it kept fucking repeating on me, man. It was awful.
The cool thing about VidCon is you never know what smell is coming from where.
Can I just tell you a very embarrassing story?
Yeah.
So I was walking into your show on Saturday night, and there was a girl sitting in the very back row who I thought was a girl named Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it was not Natalie because it was Lindsay.
Okay.
And I felt like the biggest fucking, and I know both of them.
Yeah.
But they do look similar.
Okay.
And I'm with Hank Green.
Are these white people?
Yeah.
All white people look the same.
And I'm with Hank Green, and I'm like singing her praise because I think it's Natalie.
Yeah.
And Hank just kind of slowly turns his head at me, and I stop singing. I stop getting so specific with my praise, and I like look at him, and he looks at me, and he just shakes his head, and I was like, "Fuck, fucking A," and I was like, "Okay, nice to see you, huh? Bye, gotta go." So embarrassing.
Yeah. Did you start crying again after that?
No, no. No, I'm done crying for a couple of months.
Good. You all cried out.
Mm-hmm.
Which Lindsay was it? Do you know?
Lindsay Doe.
Oh.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Idiot.
She looks like she could be a Natalie.
Right, but you could see like she looked like Natalie Schaefer a little bit.
And the problem is you've probably only seen Natalie through her Gmail icon, which is super tiny.
Well, when we were in Missoula, we were hanging out with
her.
You
hung out with her.
They were like too cute, small, like shorter hair.
Yeah.
Like fucking shit.
All those pixie people.
Dude, I felt like such a fucking idiot.
All adorable people look similar.
Yeah.
But don't feel bad.
I felt like such an idiot.
No.
And Hank was like, "Oh, I do it all the time." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's different." Like,
well, you know a billion people.
Yeah, I don't know as many people as you do, dude.
No one will ever hold that against you. I think the type of people that do hold that against you aren't, I don't know, man.
Although I have a fun story with Hank Green. So I saw him in the hotel lobby, and I was on my way to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Tessa Violet, and I was saying hello to her. And I look over, and I was like, "Oh, is that Hank Green?" Because I couldn't tell because his head was like kind of down. And I was like, "Wait, is it? Is it not?" You know?
Yeah.
So it is. And I was like, "Hank." And he's like, "Zoja," you know, like whatever. So we're talking, whatever. And he was like, where's your husband? And I was like, "Oh, he's you know, he has a show going on like right now. It's going to start in like a couple minutes."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm on my way there." And he was like, "Can I hang out with you?" He's like, "I love hanging out with Zoja." And I was like, "Yes, you can." So we ended up getting into like the same like car. And there were two younger adults, very young adults, in front of us.
Young YouTube?
Yes.
YUNG YouTube?
Yeah.
Young Tube?
Young Tube. And
little Tube?
you know, Hank and I were kind of catching up, and they kind of like chimed into like the conversation. I said, "Oh, you know, what's your name? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah." So the girl's like, "Oh, I'm so-and-so." And the kid...
You tell him it was a Tylenol aspirin conversation,
and
so they needed to leave?
So, so the girl was like, "Oh, I'm a dancer, you know, Instagram, YouTube." I was like, "Oh, great, cool." And I looked at the kid. I was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he goes, "I'm a drug dealer."
Oh, shit, player.
And I like look at Hank, and Hank's like, "Oh, never coming to VidCon ever again. You are blackball listed." You know,
Blacklisted?
like yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just so funny. And like Hank keeps talking, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he was like, "Oh, you know, I created a channel, you know.
I draw fish."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And like, so he's kind of giving it, like telling them like what, and they have no idea who he is. So I'm just like, so I say out loud, "This is so fucking funny."
Yeah.
And Hank just looks at me and he goes, "Use your words, Zoja." And I just crack, and I'm like, I can't right now. Just, they literally had no idea who he was. And I know
that's
that
if you get invited to a thing, you got to have some kind of working knowledge of
why you're invited or who invited you.
Or why there's a thing.
Right.
You know?
So we get to the place, we get to the hall, and and I look at him before we get out of the car, and I'm like, they legit have no idea who you are.
Mm-hmm.
None whatsoever. And he was like, I kind of like that because...
He's like undercover boss if you didn't need any makeup or prosthetics.
Right. But he likes it because he gets the like real expectations from people, like what they like expected out of, you know, what is going on for the weekend, whether or not they're having a good time.
Dude, there was a
which
part...
I understand that to a certain extent, but like kind of know why and who brought you there.
I mean, ideally.
Yeah.
But the type of people maybe you want to weed out of the conference, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to
He's like, everybody needs a drug dealer, right? And I wanted to be like,
if you're sick.
Yeah, I guess so.
He had a CVS t-shirt on.
Right.
Another part that was really funny along the same kind of lines is that Hank showed up for the first couple of people for the comedy show because he had his own show at conflicting time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a part where somebody from the audience stood up and was like airing grievances that they had with VidCon. Or about like food being so expensive or whatever. And they were sitting like 3 rows away from Hank. And Hank is like, this is like a good like talk back, like feedback session. They have no idea why we're here. I'm just taking notes.
Oh, that's too good.
And it was really funny. And it would be interesting to see how people would react if they knew that they were that close to, one half of the godfather of the event itself.
Right.
But it was really fun. I didn't get to see him perform because we were also performing.
Yeah.
I got to tell my kidney stone story on stage.
Yeah.
That was fun. A lot of people receptive to the kidney stone story. Lots of uneasy in your chairs type people.
Yeah. A lot of people who have been experiencing the same thing.
Everyone's getting stones. Everybody knows that.
Fuck that noise.
No, I don't wish that on any of you people. And I hope that that's never a part of your life.
Yeah.
Because it's muy terrible.
Muy is, oh my God, it's been a fucking disaster.
So here's the final
But
part.
it's done.
Here's the final countdown. And I've been talking about this as much as possible to my closest confidants because I'm terrified. And I feel like the more I talk about it, the less terrified I'll be. And then eventually, my goal is to talk about it so much that my apprehension towards it fades away, and by the time it happens, it's just silly to be afraid of it.
Right.
So the first stint that was in there was just in there.
Yeah.
And eventually I knew that sometime within a 12-week period, I would have to go get it out.
Right.
Which means you get put under and they go get it, which seemed like a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know anything about surgery, but you don't feel anything when you're asleep.
Yeah.
But then when they had to put the new stint in, there is, and this is where you might want to turn this off if you get a little squeamish, there's a string attached to it.
Yeah.
And that string is taped to the outside of myself, of my own personal self. And sometime within the next 2 days, the string is going to be pulled, not unlike one of those dolls, like the Pee Wee Herman doll that used to talk to you. And that's how they get this stint out. They coax it out. They pull it out because it's attached to a string.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the only little bit of comfort I have is twofold. One, my urologist, Dr. Steve, called me a wuss for being so worried about this, and also went through the whole thing like women experience childbirth. This isn't a big deal to women. But I am not a woman, and I do not have a journey or whatever they're called, and I am not prepared for any kind of sensation that involves a string and anything attached to a string making its way through things, a passageway that stuff doesn't normally come out of.
Well, except for urine.
Extracurricular stuff.
Right.
Rubbers, plastics, and strings.
Oh, my.
Right? So that and my mom had this. And because both of my parents produced kidney stones, thank you so much for passing that down to me. And on purpose, probably, because I was a shithead in middle school. And she was like, listen, it's just weird. It doesn't hurt. It's just a weird sensation. And she was like, don't ruin your life for the next 5 days thinking about this.
Right.
Because it's not as big of a deal as you think it's going to be.
Right.
But we're built differently and we've experienced different. Of course, my mom, who birthed a child, is going to be like, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. And of course, Dr. Steve, who does 6 of these a day, is going to say, you're being ridiculous. But I'm just me. I hold a microphone and I tell jokes to strangers.
Right.
and I'm not in the market of pulling things out of my dick. So I'm worried.
I asked if I could pull it out, and Dr. Steve said, sure.
He said you
lets
could.
You.
The problem is that I don't trust you. But if we
What
go
the
meet
fuck?
this doctor today and he has like shaky hands or some shit, you'll
I got a steady fucking hand.
no coffee the morning. You're forcing it. No, come on, man. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. Now it doesn't even look like it belongs to you. You stop it. So we'll see, man. I wonder if there's a concoction in the house where we could anesthetize myself. I just want to be out. I don't want to.
I mean, you have painkillers that you haven't been taking.
That's true, man. I don't only took those opioid things as needed. So we got. I think you give them. You not recycle them, but you give them back. There's like a place you go to give them back.
Yeah, they're gonna give it back to me when I have a migraine.
Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we'll keep them around then.
Okay. Or we can just flush them.
Or we can flush them.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to get rid of something in a pinch. So that's our lives right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to get this thing out. I can't wait to have full comfortable use of my body again. I feel like some of my muscles have atrophied, and I can't wait to be comfortable in my bed again, and I can't wait to take comfortable pisses, which is the name of my new album coming out. and I can't wait till it's over, but it's not over yet. I didn't tell anyone the string thing, my string theory at VidCon.
I love that this is also.
This is us.
You said that you've only been telling your closest confidants, and I love that the podcast is part of that.
Now it is, yeah. We filmed this episode, so I don't know exactly where that'll show up, but at the very least, we put the last one we filmed up on Patreon, so hopefully you go and enjoy that. And this one will go somewhere, probably. And in the time while I'm preparing to be a pull string doll, I'm going to make myself some Egos, and I'm going to kind of just slowly meander my way through life until I come face to face with what has become my biggest fear at the moment.
Oh. You're going to do great today. I promise. I'll be
Thank
there.
you.
And we get to see Coley today.
Well, today's easy.
Yeah.
Today's just meeting a doctor and hopefully getting a recommendation.
And then I get to see Coley.
Yeah, maybe Coley can pull the string.
Oh, he would love that. Are you kidding me? He texted me earlier, sex today? And I said, yes, please.
Oh, shit, son. Should be fun.
Should be fun. All right,
you can't be in your 30s and have sex with somebody on the Vans Warped Tour.
Why?
Because that's a rule.
Well, what if... Yes, you can.
No, I'm almost positive you can't.
Yes, you can. Most of those bands are in their 30s.
I know, but they don't have sex with people in their 30s is all I'm saying.
You guys, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. You can see everything that Mike's got going on his website at MikeFalzone.com.
Also, I've been putting a bunch of stand-up clips on Instagram TV, which is a brand new app that Instagram dropped. It's a vertical video that's like a little bit longer form. And I'm excited to play around with that a little bit. Hopefully, Mike in the Morning episodes will return on Friday. If not Friday, next Tuesday. And join us next time for a completely stringless episode.
Hopefully, stringless episodes.
Oh, God.
That's what we're going to name this.
Send thoughts and prayers.
Bye, guys.
Please.